Alright, this one is going to go in the armhole, and I'm going to let you practice going through the process of doing it in the side seam, just to make sure that you can do it on your own. So if you have questions, then you can either watch the video that's attached to the assignment, or send me an email or a text, and I will help you with it. But sometimes it's important to figure out what it is that confuses you, and then you learn it better. And if I go over all of them, then you won't have a chance to find out. Okay, I'm tracing it off again. Use a nice sharp pencil. Center front is going to be on the fold again. No seam allowance on the center front. And to put it in the armhole, this part is the design choice. You can put it anywhere through there, but if it's between here and here, it will be much easier to sew. Then when you do your side seam one, you can put it anywhere between that area. That's a design choice. If it's angled, then it will be called a French dart instead of just a side seam dart. Okay, so I'm going to put mine, if I were turning it into a princess line, I'd want it there. So that's where I'm going to put mine. But anywhere on that armhole. I'm cutting so that I've got room left for seam allowance. And I'm going to cut in and straight down that line to the bust point. And this time I'm going to cut the other line just so that you can see that it's okay to cut either line. There, it's moving just fine. If yours isn't moving, cut it a little bit deeper. Put glue on the back side all the way up to the edge, from the bust point all the way to the bottom, and then rotate the dart closed so it's touching, not overlapping, but touching, and smooth it from the center out. So now I've got one in the armhole, and I can use one of my old, you end up with lots of scrap paper. It's like kindergarten. Glue, tape, paste. We had a paste eater in my kindergarten class. He's a doctor now. But you know, back then, paste was peppermint flavored. Why would they flavor it peppermint if they weren't expecting people to eat it? So it must have been non-toxic. Yes, TMI for a video. My true personality is coming out. Okay, find the center of that dart opening, and we've got 1 3/4, so half of 1 3/4 is a half plus 3/8. And if that doesn't make sense, just fold a piece of paper in half and find the center. Then I'm going to shorten it so I've got room for my ease. And I appear to be making those about 3/8 of an inch away. Both sides. If if you're curious, this is a Tombow marker, Tombow, but you certainly don't need to have one. Colored pencils or whatever you've got works just fine. Okay, that's the ease, or extra fabric. And I'm going to mark the seam allowance on the seam that needs to be cut. I'll do the rest after. Oh, that was a little too long. My grid ruler is an 18-inch one. It's the size that you usually use in the full-scale classes. You can get a smaller one for this class, but 18-inch works just fine. And you won't have to buy another one, unless you leave your ruler in a hot car and it gets all warpy. Oh, I've gone off the page. The higher up you put this dart into the armhole, the more awkward it is. And it looks like I need a little more glue right there, so I'll put it on now. Okay, folding the dart. This one is a horizontal dart. It's not a vertical dart, so we will be folding it on the down side. We want it to go downward, so we're going to fold it on the side that is down. We'll lay it down, roll it back, find the edge of the corner and crease that, find the edge of the point and crease that. 2 points determine a line, like in geometry, and crease between the two all the way up to the edge of the paper. Then bring the folded, we'll push that down so it pops up, and bring the folded side to the flat side and mash down the center of the dart. It's a lot easier to make it look nice and do it that way than it is to try to fold the center first. I fold the center last. But as long as you get a nice finish, you can do what you want to. Okay, so I'm going to cut the one attached to the dart that I did, and that will determine the shape of the dart end. And I'll save that for mending on some of my other pieces. Okay, so that's what it looks like. It's possible, you know, you could cut off that bit, but you always want to have at least 1/4 of an inch between the end and up there, so you would still be able to catch the fabric in when you sew it. If you cut off that very pointed part, it will fit on the fabric better, but that is up to you. That's part of pre-mitering. We'll get more into that when we do princess lines. So You would write your name on it like you did on all of the others and color your seam allowance and fill it in. And then the next one that you do will be a side seam dart, and you're going to try practicing that on your own to find out what it is you don't know, and then you can send me a note. It's faster and easier for me to respond to you in a timely manner if you text me, because I always have my phone and I don't always have email. I'm excited to hear back from you. Scan them, load them up onto Canvas.